Dear Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to all the attendees to one of our another exciting Think Ahead session with ACCA. So my name is Muhammad Shahid. I'm working as Business Development Executive at ACCA Pakistan. Uh, this session was supposed to be moderated by my colleague Asad Malik Mahmood, but due to some unavoidable reason, he could not be able to join us today. So I'll be leading and moderating this session for today. So today we'll be discussing around one of the very important topic, which is the entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem, and rapidly evolving, especially among the youth of Pakistan, which are almost the 1/3 of our total population. So to discuss around the topic and the impact of the COVID-19 on the startup ecosystem and entrepreneurial ecosystem in Pakistan, we have been joined by three of our esteemed panelists from across the sectors with having relevant expertise. So I would like to request all the panelists who have joined us to further introduce themselves in details, so that I can so that I don't make any mistake in introducing them properly. So I'll start with Mrs. Nabila Farman, who is currently working as Manager Women Entrepreneurship Development at SMEDA Pakistan. So ma'am, kindly let us know about your profile in brief.
Introduce myself as am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
So thank you very much, Shahid, and Assalamu alaikum all. For the time being, I would just shortly introduce myself as a manager here at SMEDA KP, and specifically, I'm looking after the women entrepreneurship in the region, in the entire region, and we are trying to get the women entrepreneurship on board and just try to inculcate the entrepreneurial culture into the minds of the women who are residing here in Peshawar as well as in the in the entire region. And that's it.
Thank you
Very much.
Thank you. Moving on, we have been joined by Mr. Ahad Wazir. Mr. Ahad is an ACCA member and currently working as Head of Investment at Timam, Pakistan. So Ahad, over to you.
Yeah, so thank you, Shahid, for the introduction. I mean, I'd like to keep it short as well as Ma'am Nabila. So I'm heading investments and partnerships at the National Incubation Center. Apart from that, I'm heading investments at Team Up. We're an innovation hub that's focused on young entrepreneurs to help them achieve their goals. So it's mostly tech companies that we work with. I've been an entrepreneur by choice and a chartered accountant by profession. So yeah, that's about it.
Right. So our third panelist is Dr. Faisal Khan, who is the principal investigator. So, Dr. Faisal, would you like to further briefly introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Dr. Faisal Khan. I'm a molecular biologist, computational biologist, based out of RMI these days, leading the precision medicine lab funded by the federal government. So we're looking at oral cancer in local patients using cutting edge technologies such as genomics. I've also been part of the startup ecosystem here in KP, mainly in Peshawar. I've been leading Peshawar 2.0, a community organization, for the past 8 years now, and we've been trying to promote, build, engineer the local startup ecosystem using different interventions. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Faisal, and thank you so much to all of you for taking out time and joining this session. So let's just start the question part, and I'd like to start with having comments from all three of you regarding the very first and very important question around the topic, that as we all are going through the unprecedented situation due to the COVID-19, and which has also impacted not only the economy in Pakistan, but globally. And with that perspective, I would like to know, starting from Dr. Faisal, that what does the age of COVID-19 means to the startup ecosystem of Pakistan?
I think one word, it's troubling in different ways, because obviously depends on what sector you're in. Different stakeholders, different value chains have been disrupted. And most of all, the investment landscape has been not very exciting, in my opinion. So there are funding, capital challenges. I see most of our investors a bit more risk averse than one would have imagined. Plus, all the grant opportunities, which were meant to be fast tracked in light of COVID, have not been so fast tracked. So clearly, there's a serious sort of investment concern over there for startups. At the same time, looking at the other side of the coin, there are new opportunities emerging and different niches, I would call them, such as predominantly such as edtech, all the education that we see transitioning into the online sort of format in different ways. Different tools are coming up, and there are lots of slabs of different schools and types of schools and educational institutions broadly who are trying to adopt all these online platforms. So there's certainly room in there. And whether you talk about platforms, the technology, or whether you talk about the content, I'm sure down the line we'll see different assessment tools coming up. So there is like new opportunities coming up on that side. Along with that, there are also e-commerce opportunities which have come up, and this whole catalysis towards digitization is really enabling all these sectors post-COVID, during COVID. So again, like any sort of global challenge of this scale comes with opportunities along with all these sort of setbacks for the ecosystem. Yeah,
Yes, rightly mentioned. Yeah, rightly mentioned. Thank you so much, Dr. Faisal. I believe no one was ready for this situation that has come, and definitely everyone globally is suffering from this. And let's hope that in upcoming months we are able to cope with the situation. Similar question for you. Rightly mentioned by Dr. Faisal that with challenges comes with, also opportunities. So we'll discuss the opportunity part in the later portion of this session. But I'm putting this question in front of Ahad as well, since you are managing and dealing with startups usually at your organization, and you're also developing them. So what do you see, and how is your opinion around the question?
So, I mean, Shayad, as an entrepreneur, I would always say when there's a problem, there is an opportunity, and I don't see it as a problem, rather as something that we can solve. But what we did was we had as the National Incubation Center and Team Up, we reached out to a lot of startup companies and did a survey to find out what has been the effect on companies that were still operational. So in the results that we saw, 68% of the startups faced reduced demand. We saw more than 42% of the startups that had previously a really high valuation, their valuation reduced. 33% of the startups that I saw had, out of the survey findings, had even started doing salary cuts for their startups, for their employees. And about 40% of startups, they halted their operations. Some of them were startups that had also raised an investment in the series, in the seed or pre-seed stage. Apart from that, what we saw was a decline in a lot of companies coming up with the traditional businesses that were previously being incubated or accelerated at different incubators and accelerators. But at the same time, we saw a lot of different changes. We saw e-commerce grow. We saw a lot of people come in and move towards technology or productivity solutions. I mean, just a small example would be the airline industry. It was worth billions. And it had come to the size of Zoom, the valuation that Zoom had before COVID, and Zoom had reached the same valuation as the entire airline industry in just a matter of few months. So, I mean, it was very challenging and very different for everybody. I can't put a simple perspective on what the situation brought in, but as such, people that are entrepreneurs by heart and have an entrepreneurial mindset, they grasped the situation accordingly and created those opportunities for themselves in times like these.
Rightly mentioned. Thank you so much. So, same question for Nabila, but with the perspective that since you are managing the women entrepreneurship side, so take us through about the women element that since you are managing this side in KP. So, what are the challenges that they are currently facing right now due to this situation, and how the initiatives that are being looked after and executed by SMEDA to overcome these? You have to unmute yourself. So you can't hear you. Can you kindly unmute yourself?
I believe it's
No worries, no worries. We will come to you in the later part once you become able to unmute yourself. But moving on with the next question, since we have been joined by Ahad as well, who is an ACCA member as well. Uh, uh, Majority of our audience are our ACCA members who are currently watching you, as well as our future members. So just wanted to know about your journey being a finance professional. uh, I believe Nabila can speak now. We can hear you.
Yes, I can. But
Yes,
actually, I
yes,
unmuted
Nabila.
myself. The notification would say that you have been unmuted by the organizer. So I could not do that part of unmuting myself. Anyways, I would
So
say
Nabila,
that
please go ahead.
it was okay, fine. I would say that the economic cost of social distance is significant, and it was a trauma which is being faced by the entire world, and even the big economies have been drastically affected by whatever has been happening to the country worldwide. And when it comes to the women entrepreneurship and knowing the fact that women, since we have categorized the women into three categories, and we call them the women entrepreneurs. These are the women who come from the age bracket 30 or 35 plus, and as you all know that they are not techie, and they are somehow lagging behind when it comes to the term technology, or when it comes to the term IT solutions. Then we have got the young entrepreneurs, and these are the girls or the women who come from the universities or from the business schools, and those who have got the technical knowledge with them, and they are very well equipped for the as a future generation to be a part in uplifting the economy. And then we have got the junior entrepreneurs as well here at SMEDA. And these are the girls, we believe, as we have suggested in the upcoming SME policy 2020 as well, that enterprise development should be added as a subject in the curriculum from the very beginning, from the higher secondary school levels. So women have faced, a terrible situation when it was. I would specifically talk of the women who are not very much aware with the technology, and who were, somehow they were part of the economy of their houses, and they were, making contributions to it. because the startups, I've got so many examples of the startups who are using the technology, the social media tools, and they are running their small home-based businesses, and they are doing quite good. So I would just talk of the need, which is being, which has been aroused, just looking into the situation of pandemic. That since e-commerce and since the internet technology has taken, it has taken an edge over all the businesses which were being there before the pandemic arose. We need to educate not only the startups but also those who are not very well educated in terms of technology, or in terms of using social media tools, or in terms of using the e-commerce. That there is a dire need of getting them people connected with the people, or with the incubators or with the accelerator programs that have been taking places in the universities or the NICs, or whatever the country can offer. They should also think of the entrepreneurs, maybe a woman entrepreneur or a man entrepreneur, that they need to be educated in terms of the new normal, which is probably going to be there for a long run, and technology is for sure taking place. It is transforming. The businesses are getting it transformed into the technological businesses, may it be education or may it be anything. So we are literally worried about how to utilize that workforce which is not very much technology driven and which are not able to survive in these harsh situations.
Right. Thank you so much for the detailed description and analysis. Dr. Faisal, coming to you. I was going through your profile, and mashallah, say you were part of different board committees and board as a member that which are operating in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which are mainly associated with IT, science, and and also the development side. So just wanted to know from your perspective that since we are going through this unprecedented situation, so is there any initiatives that are being considered to develop the startup ecosystem of overall Pakistan and specific to KP? So is there any any initiatives that are in pipeline, so that we would like to know from your end, being member of these board and committees?
Sure. Yeah. So obviously the COVID-19 situation has changed all the priorities of the government, especially in terms of budget. There's obviously a lot of focus on health these days, and we saw this massive announcement of health insurance for people across the province, which is very commendable. I would have loved to see more science, more commitment towards science, because science and technology are the pillars when it comes to situations such as a pandemic, not just for your exports and for your broader economy. You do need these technical expertise within the country to respond to such situations. I would have loved to see the government and our people maybe waken up towards the realities of our situation in science, which should have translated into more bigger investments, more strategic investments, focused investments into these areas, such as pandemic preparedness. I do hope to see something down the line, if not during the pandemic, but that's yet to be seen. In terms of startups, in terms of IT, there is renewed interest now because of the entire digitization process. The IT board is currently going through a transition. The board is hiring a new managing director now, but there is from the government, we hope to see more interventions in the near future, hopefully the next quarter, as the new managing director takes up the charge. So it's not super exciting. It's not pacey as I would have thought, but there is interest within the government to reprioritize things such as IT in light of COVID.
Right. Thank you. So coming to you, Ahad, the question which I had put earlier when Nabila's mic was not working. So Ahad, coming to you, being an ACCA member and a finance professional, just wanted to know from your end. As you are being watched by our members as well as the future members. So as a finance professional and as an entrepreneur and working with an organization which is constantly working on the development of the startups. So how do you feel that how your qualification helped you to evolve your skills through your entrepreneurial journey?
I mean, that's a tough question to ask. Usually I've been asked this question a couple of times by different people. But I was a school dropout. I did not know what to do. I was an entrepreneur by since the age of, I don't know, since I dropped out of school. I dropped out in A levels. And I started doing businesses. But I had this constant pressure upon me from the family that I need to do some qualification. Come up with doing something. I always wanted to be an automobile engineer. I mean, that was one of the passions that I still have, and I still on and off do study about automobiles. And I'm trying to create a concept car. But I joined ACCA because chartered accountancy was one of those things when people, I mean, whenever I was doing businesses, I could not understand what my accountant was talking about, right? I didn't know what kind of analysis to make out of whatever he was saying. But after doing ACCA, I was already doing a couple of other businesses. I was leading a flower milling industry. But right about that time, it's the National Incubation Center project came into being, and I had already joined Team Up, so I was part of the founding team for it. I mean, the journey has been phenomenal for me. I'd say the kind of choices that I've made in life, the acumen, the business acumen that I have right now is because I am financially equipped with that knowledge. I know the kind of investment deals that I need to do. I know what valuation is. How do I work with my startup and get a valuation? How is it that I get funding for my businesses? How do I even structure my company overall? I mean, people think we're only accountants, but accounting is only a subset of what we study. It's morely corporate law. It's about how we structure companies. It's more about how we do our financial performance management for businesses. So yeah, with time, I've understood that without ACCA, I would not have been where I am today, or would have had an in-depth knowledge of how businesses are to be run. So my journey now and even my role is more towards finance and raising investments and working with venture capital firms and trying to achieve the fit for them, getting their investment thesis on board, getting startups according to their investment thesis, looking for those VCs for those startups and doing those valuations for them. So yeah, in terms of that, it has phenomenally changed the way I think about businesses. And about how performance is to be gauged in different businesses.
Right. So we can see that you are doing lots of things, mashallah. Say. Coming to a very important question, and thank you so much, Ahad, for highlighting your career and how the qualification helped you develop your skills. A very important question I would like to put in front of all of you three panelists. It is around the current situation and obviously around the startups, that how the startups would you all three believe that they can deliver better results when a situation of crisis just like pandemic comes in front of the organization. Like I would like you to highlight those key areas are the steps that they need to look forward to create a long-term sustainability for their organization. So starting from Nabila.
Okay. I was going through a research lately, and I found out that in Pakistan, uh, when an elderly person gets retired, we have got 3 youth coming in to replace him, and then the multiplier effect even gets speedy because the youth is more educated, more techy, and they're more skilled in terms of technology. So the point here is that we can do wonders as startups, or the youth is an asset for Pakistan. If we consider it an asset for Pakistan, otherwise it can be, it can play a role of an explosive as well, because in the next upcoming 10 to 20 years, probably we would be, transforming into a nation which is good for nothing. So we really have to focus on the scenario, and we really have to focus on the youth being the, one of the most powerful assets of Pakistan. And when it comes to the post-COVID scenario, I'm sure the things have been changed. I was also going through, Dr. I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but the female doctor who is the advisor to the Prime Minister on SARS program as well, a doctor. I'm really sorry. I'm so bad at recalling the names, but she,
Dr. Sania.
Dr. Sania Nishtar, yes. Yes, Dr. Sania Nishtar, she once tweeted that when Ebola, it was the time of Ebola and SARS, when she suggested to the government that we should have a separate fund for, for facing such kind of calamities in future. And the COVID arrived, and, where have all the funds gone? And that we are again in a very drastic situation. And I don't know till when we are going to be facing with such situation. Coming back to the startups, we need to have, probably this is the need of the hour, that we need to have all the stakeholders, including the public sector, including the academic institutions, and including the private sector taken on board. We always talk of angel investors, or we always talk of venture capitalists, but we need to, mobilize the investments in, may it be any form. We need to, the economy needs to be digitalized now. The startups, they need to be, they need to digitalize their businesses, whatever it may be. I know so many home-based businesses which are, who are doing so much, good while being there in the situation of pandemic. And they were especially related to the food businesses, but they were operating very well through their homes during all the crisis. We even need to read the economies which prevailed there for more than 100 years, and we need to, have a research on them as well. Those economies which are prevailing for more than 100 years, and those who are doing good as well. We need to look into the best practices prevailing all over the world. I'm sure we cannot compare ourselves with the US or with the European countries, but we can compare ourselves with Bangladesh or with India as well. Knowing the fact that India is far ahead than what we are today in terms of IT, or or if we talk of the technology. So the think tanks, they need to be suggested on, to be taken, to be on the same page, and we have to, be the part of that system. Taking from point A to point B, we need to have so many organizations in touch with us, and the responsibility has to be given to each and every organization. It can be done by the public sector, by the government. We even need the financial institutions to play their part and to play their role. But the scenario has entirely changed, and if we just keep on doing the things in silos and in isolations, probably it would not work at all.
Right. rightly pointed out, and thank you so much for highlighting. So, Dr. Faisal, your views on the question. Dr. Faisal, you have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we can hear you. So you are unmuted again. Yeah, now you're unmuted.
Can I speak now? Sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, the question is now towards you. The same question which was briefly highlighted and shared her perspective by Nabila. So I would like to know your views on the question.
Sorry, the question was post-COVID. I lost you there.
Yeah, so the question which I asked all three of you, that is around the startups and the SMEs which are currently going through, like other organizations, through this current pandemic situation. So if like they are going through this situation and some other crisis which they face in future, so what are the areas and the key steps they need to focus to remain relevant and to create long-term sustainability value to the organizations?
Got it. So I'm on the optimistic side of it from an ecosystem perspective. I think so. This is a classic example of when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. I think this will be a very interesting filter of some sort for the startup ecosystem as well. I think startups, entrepreneurs are normally used to a situation where they have to be a survival of the fittest situation, where they have to be lean and mean and agile. So all the agility, all the lean operations sort of systems, a lean way of doing things, sacrificing a lot of time, sacrificing a lot of personal gains, re-evaluating startup strategy, reappropriating all the budgeting you've done for the next few quarters, maybe a year, sorting out how you're spending your cash. Cash is king in this situation. It's king in anyways, but in this situation, obviously, that's what matters deeply. Realigning all your supply chains depends on your business. So I think the agile, the most agile, the leanest entrepreneur, the leanest startup, his or her business is going to win in this scenario. So I personally would take it positively. As an entrepreneur, I would take it as a bigger challenge now. I happen to be in the biotech space, so for us, lots of new opportunities have opened up. I encourage and invite all the young biotechnologists out there to embrace entrepreneurship and maybe bring some value to their cities, to their economies. So I see a lot of light down the line. Obviously, it's troubling times. It's a lot of everyone's cash strapped. There's a lot of cash flow issues. Everyone's hit by it. But again, we have to look at it from a positive perspective, not just from an individual entrepreneur or startup perspective, but also from an ecosystem, from a zoomed out sort of lens. Using a zoomed out lens, I think this will be good in the longer run. People think it's been a nascent ecosystem. Things haven't even matured yet, and we've been hit by COVID. I think that we're going through an era of ferment anyways. The soup is we haven't had major successes yet anyways. So I think, in my view, this will speed up the growth and the maturation of the ecosystem in different ways.
Right. Nabila
I'm
mentioned
sorry,
around
Shahid, can I speak?
few key. Yes, 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 you can.
I just have to apologize. I just took your question, from my perspective. You were asking something else, and I answered something else about it. But anyways, the other two fellows, they did quite good on your answer.
No,
And I'm sorry, I was just...
you can. Uh, Nabila, if you'd like to add some more points around the question, you can.
Well, the crux is, in terms of what startups should do, I think they have to innovate. They have to work more and more on the innovation of their ideas, on their strategies, of course, the cash flow, what Dr. Faisal said. And they have to innovate more and more, and they have to become digitized now, because probably, as they say, when life gives you lemons, you have to make lemonade. So they have to think, they have to take the things exactly the other way around.
Right, thank you. So coming to you, Ahad, as a finance professional and as an entrepreneur. So what is your take on this question?
I mean, I couldn't agree more with what Ma'am Nabila said and what Dr. Faisal has said. They've covered mostly whatever I wanted to say, but I have this one quote where Warren Buffett says that don't put your eggs in all your eggs in one basket. I'd suggest this to the startups as well. I've seen a lot of startups have entrepreneurs that have an entrepreneurial mindset and knew that their businesses were going to stop and needed cash, just as Dr. Faisal said, that cash is king. They adopted strategies to just make quick cash and reinvest that cash into the startups again. Those are the startups that I still see surviving. Those are the startups that I see are going better than the other startups. Those are the ones that have been able to subsidize and maybe even move the cost around and bring the costs down in the company as well. So yeah, I mean, constant innovation of how the business model is to be looked at, constant innovation into how to keep the business running, constant innovation into how you're going to bring cash into the company and make it grow is what the entrepreneurial mindset is all about. So yeah.
Right, rightly mentioned. And if I take summary out of the three conversation from all of you panelists, so definitely we believe that cash is very important for a startup, and definitely during this current pandemic situation, there is we can code as the survival of the fittest. So definitely it will be a very surviving situation for the organization who innovates and adopts to the new normal. So moving on to the part of the opportunities, we discuss around the challenges that we are facing, and specifically the entrepreneurial ecosystem is facing Pakistan and as well as in global perspective. Let us talk about the opportunities, and how would you three esteemed panelists believe that what specific sectors can be you can say that can be an opportunity for the aspiring entrepreneurs. So starting from Dr. Faisal, that let us know about the areas, since you are working with different boards. So and you as an entrepreneur also have worked with different organizations. So in the upcoming situation, what are the areas and the sectors which you see as a potential as an opportunity for these aspiring entrepreneurs? So Faisal, over to you.
One's the broader push towards digital, which is seeing a lot of, which is catalyzing a lot of adoption in e-commerce, in edtech, fintech even. People are trying to stay away from physical contact. People have stayed away. They were forced to adopt all of these over the past few months. And now they kind of saw the value, and I see a lot of adoption. I'm sure there is research being done now as well. I personally haven't picked up anything yet. So the broader push towards digital is opening up new avenues, creating a bigger space for more players. That's number one. Number two, the health space. When you look at COVID is an infectious disease, and infectious disease is a very common feature across the health sectors of all developing countries, if you put it that way. We have dengue, we have polio, we have malaria, we have TB. People never really touched those in terms of business, in terms of startups, in spite of having resources, having trained people, community within the market, the job market. We're producing that locally, which was unheard of. If you look at diagnostics, people are trying to push each other, push their teams to develop diagnostic kits locally. We haven't seen any major success yet, but I'm delighted at the movement towards this. If you look at therapeutics, if you look at vaccines, although there's no R&D here, not much at a stage which one could cite, but there are pharma companies like Ferozans, like Getz. They see the value, the business value in there to step into this, and one of them has been speaking to Gilead for the drug they are known for now against COVID. And obviously the search is on for different vaccines. So I see different hospitals in Pakistan recruiting patients, getting endorsements, getting their approvals for clinical trials in Pakistan, which means down the line, if it works out, they get hold of those vaccines as well. And which also, as we go, builds local capacity, things spill over, and then people can repeat the same using another type of vaccine, or maybe develop their own vaccines. So all these are starting to come into place from a biomedical perspective, which I feel is going to push us forward in a new sector, to open up a new it is opening up a new space for bio and medical health sort of startups. Health in our startup ecosystem has traditionally been telemedicine, or maybe some inventory management, or looking for counterfeit drugs. But now we're going into the lab and maybe coming up with products that could have much bigger, more substantial value on the people's health, and obviously on the economy here. So for me, digital or IT enabled businesses, and biomedicine, so the biology side of it and the health or the medicine side of it. These two are big, huge areas as we go forward. Having said that, there are other sectors where people are innovating. So my favorite is tourism. One would have thought that tourism is dead now, but you see all these startups coming up with hacks around it, and they're saying we are COVID-friendly tourism. So that's a new niche now, which again improves the quality of our hospitality sector. But again, people are developing new value propositions within a space that you would have thought is dead now. So again, let's not undermine different sectors by saying game over, or this is not going to go anywhere. I think these are nice challenges for entrepreneurs now to come and hack these problems and go around them and solve them and create new value for startups, for different companies. So for me personally, obviously biomedicine is very exciting. It's been very exciting, and I'm glad to see all these activities, and I hope to see more activities and maybe some support from the government as we go forward. One last point, biology is increasingly becoming an engineering discipline. You can code biology, you can program biology, you can prototype biology, which not many people are aware of. And I think it makes a really nice business case for the government to fuel some activity here in Pakistan, and maybe we can leapfrog, maybe we can catch the wave. We've badly missed the wave in IT, and my hope is that we do not miss the wave in biology and biomedicine. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Very comprehensively highlighted the key potential areas. Thank you so much, Dr. Faisal. The summary which I have extracted from your conversation is around that you have highlighted three key areas, which is the technology side, and the second one is around the health side, and the third one is you have pretty much highlighted the tourism sector, and you have very well integrated the concept of around technology and health as well. I'm putting this question in front of Ahad and Nabila as well, but with another question. I'm adding another question to this question, and would like to us to tell about the opportunities and the avenues. Plus, also let us know that how your organizations are utilizing their resources to further innovate on these opportunities and help the upcoming aspiring entrepreneurs. So starting with Ahad.
Yeah, thank you, Shahid. I mean, Dr. Faisal rightly described a lot of things. For me, personally, I'd say as long as there are challenges, I cannot put a name to an industry that will reap benefits for a startup. It's mostly about what you have, what are the past experiences that you have, what is the expertise that you have, and what is the kind of value proposition that you're developing for your customers in that industry, in that particular niche, for that matter, right? So as long as you know what you're trying to do, as long as you know that you're creating value for somebody, and somebody out there is going to pay for it, and that somebody is a substantial chunk, and would add value into what you want to do. I mean, it's all about aspirations. Some people, what they aspire to do is कि यार मुझे महीने के 3 लाख रुपए मिले, 30 लाख रुपए मिले, 40 लाख रुपए मिले. There are others that want a $1 billion company or a unicorn or a zebra coming out of the country. So it would rather depend on what the entrepreneur is doing. In terms of startups and tech startups, IT startups that are working in, I believe there's a lot of space after COVID. As an organization, as the NIC, what we did was we conducted a hackathon with the Ministry of Health, with Dr. Zafar Mirza. So what we did was we invited applications, and we asked from all around the world to come and solve the different challenges around. So what we decided was, so what we came up with is we brought in industry experts. We asked them to solve the problem statements. So we formed the problem statements in terms of say curative, preventive, and others. So others was like, what is the mental well-being that's associated with you just being at home, right? So these are the different problems that we framed, and we had conducted a hackathon out of which we had received more than 1,000 applications. So these are 1,000 different ideas, right? 1,000 different minds put into, I'd say, a field. And the winner out of that was had developed actually a system and is now doing clinical trials. They were using AI within your phone to basically identify through your cough what kind of, if you're having tuberculosis, if you're having COVID, is it just normal chest infection? So I mean, it's amazing, right? You don't even have to, so you're bringing the cost so low. Another example I would say is, and Dr. Zafar Mirza rightly told me, because we, whatever you're trying to achieve, always remember that it also needs to be culturally fit into what you're trying to do. In Cambodia, there is this iron fish it's really lucky, and there was the problem of a lot of people women having iron deficiencies. And these were mostly women that were of childbearing age, which is, I mean, and when you get anemic, it brings a lot of problems. So this smart kid, he came up with a very simple idea. He fused some elements together, and I mean, he could come up with a soap bar and say, this is what you need to put into your pot when you're creating or when you're whenever you're boiling something or when you're cooking food, right? But he came up with this brilliant idea that this is an iron fish. Now, automatically in Cambodia, it was accepted because it was a sign of luck, and every household started using it. And the kind of drastic change that people saw with iron deficiencies was, I mean, amazing. So it's about how you think. It's about how you put it, how you put the idea out there, and how you sell it out there. Apart from that, what we as an organization looked at was productivity. We ourselves were working out of our homes and realized the need for solutions to help the productivity of every employee. So we're now going to conduct another hackathon around productivity for a lot of people. So how can organizations be more productive with employees not even coming and working remotely? I mean, a lot of organizations even realized the need that with remote working, they had subsidized or low costs, and it was working for them. I mean, everything was on track. I mean, even the targets were being exceeded for some organizations that I have worked with or I'm associated with. So yeah, these are the different initiatives that we as an organization took. I'd say there's a lot of other initiatives that the government should work on. We've seen India creating a fund, the Bank of India giving out reduced interest payments to all the startups. Then we've seen France giving out 4 billion euros. I believe 4 billion, yeah, 4 billion euros out to their startups as loans and interest, just industry loans. And then similarly, UAE gave out a lot of loans. So a lot of work was done by the government. And unless there is government intervention into problems like these and support for startups like these, it's a bit difficult for the private sector only to help them grow. Apart from that, what I'd say is it's about the entrepreneur himself. What is it? What his experiences are, and what is it that he thinks and is right, and looking at the right timing to launch whatever he's doing. I mean, that's about it.
Right. Thank you so much for the brief explanation around the area. Nabila, your take on the question.
Yes, thank you very much. I think enough of technology has been discussed here, and sadly, we are coming from a nation which says Corona nishta. Okay? Like I've come across so many people in my surroundings, those who do not even believe in, that COVID even exists or not. And here at SMEDA, we normally deal as, since we are an advisory body to the government, and since we are a bridge between the people and between the private sector and the government, our job descriptions are totally different from what, Ahad Sahab is doing there at NIC, or what Dr. Faisal is doing at Peshawar 2.0. So I would just talk through their perspective. We come across people on daily basis, those who have got a lot of investment with them, a person who comes from a tribal area, a wazir, a Fridi or Shinwari, with, with a big amount with him, but he doesn't know what to do with that. And sometimes, people who want to do something, they are lacking investments, they are lacking education, they are lacking technology as well, but they really want to be into the workforce. So I would just talk through their perspective, and this is what I, normally ask people who come across me, or the women mostly, who come and sit with me for their guidance. And I normally ask them, whatever you are doing, when you get up in the morning, do you ever think that whatever you are doing is relevant to the people around you, or are you actually serving to the people? Are you actually catering to your clientele or not? For example, if I just start selling a big brand here, for example, Jimmy Choo here in Peshawar, Board Bazaar, probably I would not be getting any clientele for that. So I would definitely not, confine myself to a single sector. I found an opportunity at my home when I've got two young kids, adults in fact, and they started their home-based business by the name of Adam Streets at their home, and they're doing so good. They started it, during the times of COVID, and they got sustainable within the first month, within the initial first month. It means opportunity lies in whatever you are doing, but you actually have to target the exact audience, you actually have to target the exact clientele, and you actually have to make the market researches. The other day I was part of a webinar which was actually focusing on smart farming. Means there is opportunity in farming being digital. Also there is opportunity everywhere, of course. The pharmacy or the grocery stores are the the few lucky businesses which really got good business during those harsh times as well. But uh, we would always say, I would always say, Svet always says that whatever life gives you, you have to find an opportunity in that. So opportunity lies everywhere, in every sector. It is actually the need of time to tap those opportunities, to innovate those opportunities, and to get them digitalized as well. Because for sure, without being digital, we cannot find any future in the long.
Right, thank you. So we are approaching the closing time of this session. So last question to all of you, and that is around your recommendation for all the startups and aspiring entrepreneurs for a post-COVID situation. So we are left with 3 minutes. So I would request Faisal to quickly share his feedback around the question, and then we move on to Nabila and then Ahad. So Faisal, your take on the last question, that is your recommendation around the post-COVID situation for the startups.
Well, I'll just say stay positive. I think these are harsh conditions, but they are full of opportunities. I think one should self-reflect, reflect with their teams, and then maybe reflect with their advisors that they trust, and then keep good tabs on the market and how it's evolving, because no one really knows what's happening now and what's going to happen in the next few quarters. It's all sort of speculation. Everyone has their opinion. Some are data backed, some are not. So it's very wise to stay very, very agile, and then also stay very lean. So there's no point following any sort of spending plans that you've devised in January. Sometimes people are tied up by their donors or their granting bodies or their investors. Less so investors, but more about sort of organizations which takes matters on paper very seriously. So I think startups should push back and maybe reinitiate their spending plans, buy more runway time, as lean as you can. I think that's the best way forward, in my view. But again, for all of this, you have to remain full of energy and positive. There's no point losing hope. There's no point quitting midway. I think for me, these are exciting times, full of opportunity. And I repeat, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going.
Right, thank you. So moving to Nabila. Before moving to Nabila, just wanted to request and advise all the attendees who are currently present at this session. So as we are moving towards the end of the session, if you have any questions, just put those questions in the comment box, so that after this question, we'll be addressing those accordingly. So Nabila, over to you for the final comments.
Okay, Shahid Saab, I would definitely second him. Whatever he said is, it should be taken seriously. I would just add to it that there are so many organizations. I don't say that the government has done nothing. I would not say that the private sector is doing nothing. But actually, we are lacking awareness. That is a very small segment of the youth which is actually aware of what government is offering or what the private sector is offering. To them, they need to have more and more of research in terms of how to get them stable or how to get their business ventures launched, and they need to have more and more services attained by the organizations which are there, and which are actually for their services. And they have to they have to be very smart, they have to be very well aware, and they have to make a lot of research, and they have to get an approach to the organizations, for example the incubators, or for example SMEDA, or for example for that matter um, any academic institution which is offering something in terms of startup support for them.
Right. Thank you. G. Ahad,
Yeah, so
last comments from your end.
yeah, so I mean, I'd say get the best mentors out there for your businesses. Find those domain experts for yourself. If he may be your friend, family, maybe he's somebody that you can't even reach out. Go use LinkedIn, reach out to those people. Ask them to help you out, all right? And then create those different plans. Create those 4, 5, 6, 7 plans with sensitivity analysis into how those plans will work. Why will you fail, right? Because if you don't plan, you are already planning to fail. So yeah, that's about it for myself.
Right. Thank you so much, and thank you all the three of you for taking out for these sessions. Let's just move on to the Q&A part of this activity. My colleague Rashid, I believe, is also with us for this session. Rashid, can you hear us? Can you let us know if there are any questions from the audience?
Sure, let me check. So we are receiving a lot of comments. Let's see if there are any questions that we can take. Yeah, so there's a question from Hassan Swale. He's asking, please suggest platforms for getting awareness and getting connected with people working on these digital transformation projects, or any interventions that are there to support small businesses and young entrepreneurs. I think we can ask
Yeah.
this question from Nabila Firman.
Yes.
Probably I'm not the right person to answer that, because I've got the think tank sitting here right in front of me. Uh, uh, this is what I said, and I just addressed this issue, what I said earlier, that the students, the startups, the young lot, they need to have an access to the organizations which are there in the market. May it be a public sector organization, or may it be a private sector organization. We have got so many banks offering so good products right now, but I have no idea whether the young startups they even know about it or not. Then we have got NIC. SMEDA is there to support them, but I would say again that SMEDA is an advisory body. We have made advices to the government in the upcoming SME policy when it comes to the startup culture here in Pakistan. But what we can offer them is the counseling services only. But at least we could, I would ask the youth here who are attending this session that have they ever been attempted to even check our website? I mean, there are so many pre-feasibilities lying there on our website, and I doubt that any one of you have even, opened the pre-feasibilities or opened the website of SPETA as well. Then there are NICs. I know about the BIC here in at IM Sciences. All the academic institutions, they are trying to connect, the young startups, the guys, the girls who are getting education at the business schools. They've got their Oryx there, and then they have got the Google in front of them. I mean, there is a lot of knowledge, but you only have to be smart. You only have to be vigilant. You only have to be, steadfast in achieving your goals. I mean, business is something very serious. You cannot take it as a part-time activity, taking time off from all the chats, from all the WhatsApp activities, from all the, meetup activities, and then coming back to the business. I'm sure it's not going to bring any results. Business is a job which has to be taken 24/7, and then there are so many organizations in the ecosystem willing to support you. You only have to have an access to.
Right. Thank you so much for a brief description around the question which have been asked. So I believe we are around 9 minutes above the closing time of the session. So I would request all the attendees, if they are having any further questions, please do reach out to us so that we can definitely further align you to our respective panelists and discuss those areas accordingly. So thank you so much, Nabila. Thank you so much, Ahad, and thank you so much, Dr. Faisal, for taking out time and becoming part of this very important session. And we look forward to engage you in future sessions as well. And thank you so much to all the attendees. And I hope this session went very well according to your expectation. And I definitely hope that there are many questions which are arising in your minds. So we are looking forward to engage with you in future as well. And one suggestion would be from our end that there are lots of activities are going on by ACCA Pakistan. So I would suggest you all attendees to do check out your emails so that every activity is important for you. So thank you so much again. Thank you so much to all the panelists and see you next time, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.
Cheers, Shahid.
Thank you, Shahid. Allah Hafiz.